I actually worked in a completely different industry about 13 years ago in electronic prepress, which is an industry-to-industry type of business, and just decided to make a career change and started working with at-risk youth, which had been a field that had interested me for many years. Started working at the Woodward Academy, which is a very interesting place that has a very different type of philosophy. My title is Educational Liaison, but it involves me working with students, getting them plugged back into public school, but then also doing some development work, such as getting students into college, into the military, into Job Corps, and finding them employment as well. I think that there's room for policies to change potentially, for us to rethink how we serve at-risk youth. The Woodward Academy is a really good example of that because we're a private prep school. One of the reasons I really like working at the Woodward Academy is that because it's a residential facility, the boys are there morning, noon, and night, and their behaviors change, their attitudes change. And so when they come to me looking for advice about college or Job Corps, they're really very engaged. They see their lives in a new way that they wouldn't have seen when they were out on the streets or back in their communities. And so that's very rewarding. Every day is rewarding in that way. What we do there is very special. It gives students who come from very disadvantaged backgrounds the opportunity to be in a pro-social prep school environment. And you see incredible changes in them. It's very rewarding, and many of them go home and succeed and make lives for themselves, and I'm very proud, very happy to be involved in that. It's a great honor to have been nominated for this and to have won the Greg Gall Shining Star Award. I'm flattered. I'm flattered that my management team nominated me, and it's impressive that, you know, out of the whole state of Iowa, I got chosen.
In the early 80s, I came out of the closet as a gay man, and I was living in a Christian commune at the time, and we were taking people in from jail and off the streets to help them better their lives, and that was my first taste of social work. And then not long after that, I divorced my wife and moved to Des Moines and got involved with Polk County Victim Services, and working there with victims of crime also led my way towards getting a master's degree in social work. Well, a highlight in my career at Victim Services, for instance, was that I was the first crime advocate for non-sexual assault victims. We had rape, sexual assault counselors, but none for all the burglary, robbery, homicide folks. And then that led to developing the first homicide survivor advocate program in Iowa. There's nothing that's been more rewarding to me than my job. I love my job. I don't really want to retire. I love going to work, to meet people, to listen to their stories, to try to be of help to them, to help them help themselves is basically what we're doing. And offering a caring and listening ear is the beginning of all of the relationships that we have with our clients. So it's very rewarding. It's been the most wonderful career I could have ever had. It's very meaningful to be honored this way because Catherine Williams and last year's recipient, Ruth Anderson, were social work heroes. You know, they were women of minority in Iowa who did great things. And so I was really surprised and you know, almost shocked that I would be chosen to be in a category with them receiving this award.
I started in education about 25 years ago, not so much as a teacher or wanting to work in the education system, but more that I wanted to be at home with our son when he was at home. So I thought the best way to do that would be to work at the school. Little did I know that I would love it, and I especially was drawn to the kids that maybe had behavioral or social emotional needs. So a friend of mine at school invited me and encouraged me to go back to school to become a teacher. Helping was what I enjoyed most. So 4 years ago, when our administrative team decided that they would like to have an at-risk or student family service coordinator position, I applied thinking what a better way to be able to do that across our district. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years. Being recognized with this award is just an honor. It's humbling, it's exciting. Being nominated by my peers that nominated me, that's an award in itself. I just so value the people that I get to work with every day and the hard work that we do. This award isn't representative of my work alone, it's representative of my work as a valued team member. And we know that together we can make a difference. One of my passions in what I get to do every day is that I hope people understand that while we may have education, and that's very important, I don't ever want to make light of having a good education. We know that in poverty, it's relationships and education that make for change. But sometimes we get caught up in our professionalism or the initials behind our name, and that has its place and is important, but what it comes down to is building a relationship with each person that you interact with and helping them to know that you care and you want to listen, and it's not about what you think they should be doing or your plan for them, but you want to help support and encourage them to know that they can make a difference and they can make change in their life if they choose. When I think about being in my community and being involved in what has moved me to act in my profession and my personal life, I would say it's my faith and my belief in Jesus Christ. When I think about social work and what I get to do every day, even though I'm not a social worker, I think Jesus set the example for the social worker. He reached out to the sick, the hurting, the lost, the hungry, the tired, the children, and he gave them unconditional love and provided for their needs.
When I first began my work at Polk County Crisis and Advocacy Services, then Victim Services, one of the things that was clear was that people of color, particularly African Americans, were really not coming in for service provision for a variety of reasons. And so what we did was we began to take those services to the community. And so for 2 or 3 years, we provided on-site counseling services for places like Urban Dreams, Creative Visions, OSAC's Women's Center at the time. We had a partnership with other organizations that served people of color in the community. And so we would go and set up the site there for 2-3 hours a week or half a day a week, building those relationships. I worked as a violent crime counselor, serving victims of sexual assault, victims of hate crime, victims of robbery and theft, to family members who had lost a loved one to murder or suicide. And in that work, I had the opportunity to provide individual counseling sessions, do group sessions, serve people out in the community by helping them connect with resources that are available to victims of crime. I also led the agency as the manager for part of my time with the agency. So I managed a group of professional counselors that served victims of crime. I think the people that I carry in my heart with me and keep me going not only include the students in our program and my colleagues, but the homicide survivors that I worked with over the years. They stay near and dear in my heart. I just connected with one who came and spoke to my class last night, and her story is a reminder of the importance of this work and why we do it. This award means a great deal to me. I feel very honored to be chosen as the 2013 Social Worker of the Year for Iowa. It is an honor, and it really, I think, signals to me that the work I have done, although sometimes felt like it had gone unnoticed and was maybe in vain, certainly has not been. A lot of my work has been in the area of diversity and helping with cultural competence, and that is not always recognized, and particularly not always recognized in what I call a mainstream award. And so being honored for my work in that area means a great deal to me and really speaks volumes about the field of social work, and particularly NASW Iowa. So I am grateful for this award.
Probably the first time I really thought about what people could do and how they could turn their lives around was working with a young woman who had been so terribly abused in her childhood by family, by all kinds of people. And in working with her to try to help her figure out her own life and make sense of this childhood that no one should have had. I saw her then turning around and wanting to take care of children and wanting to help children, because she said no one should ever have to go through what I went through. And she worked very, very hard with families, in childcare, and also then started working with legislators, telling her story about what had happened to her and how important it is that we support children and families, and certainly work to try to overcome child abuse and the many awful things that happen to children. So she was one whose life was so beyond anything that I could ever have imagined, and she was an inspiration to turn things around and say, okay, if I can do this, for those of us who have been so blessed, we should be able to help others. So much of what I've learned have been from professional organizations, from colleagues, but also from clients who took lives that I couldn't even begin to imagine and turned it around and did something wonderful for somebody else. When students come in and ask about the social work profession, first of all, I tell them they're going to get my bias because I'm passionate about it. And I usually ask them, do people come to you and tell you their troubles, their problems, and you don't even ask them to do that? And they'll go, yeah, that really happens. I said, then you are indeed a social worker, because people will come and tell you, and we'll give you the skills to now help you to help them to help themselves. We also have the opportunity in social work, again, to work with individuals, families, communities, society. They can work from advocacy all the way down to working with kids and families, persons with disabilities. It's sort of the profession that's all over the place, that if there's someone in need, social workers will be there. Winning the Lifetime Achievement Award to me is absolutely amazing and quite surprising. The special part of it is that I was nominated by colleagues, people who actually know me, and were willing to share some of the things that I've been able to do. And it's, I really don't have words for it. I was surprised, amazed, about as pleased as I could be that this is a social work award, because I'm so passionate about this profession and my colleagues.